Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm meadsy69. Welcome back to the channel. Now, in today's video, we're not going to look at a particular tank. We're going to talk about a function in the game that some may say is important and some may say it's not so important. So basically what we're looking at today is DPM. Does DPM really matter? Now, for those that don't know, DPM pretty much stands for damage per minute. So it's the amount of damage you can put out every single minute of your tank. Now, there are some tanks with incredible DPM. Now, we're talking mainly about medium tanks, especially tier 10 medium tanks, you know, the E50M, the T62, etc. They hold fantastic DPM levels or numbers. So, you know, but DPM isn't the only stat, and it's not the only stat. And yes, it does prove to be useful, but you know, if the only thing you have on your tank is DPM, then no, it's not a massively important thing. Yes, for that tank it's massively important because, you know, it's the only thing that you're relying on. But there are some tanks out there that doesn't rely on DPM, you know, and also likewise there's some tanks out there, we've spoken about it recently, if you look at tanks like the XM, brilliant DPM, and not only does it have brilliant DPM, it has brilliant stats altogether. But we're not talking about that. We're actually talking about medium tanks here that doesn't have great DPM, but they are still fantastic tanks. So no, DPM is not important to tanks like the TVP. And also there is another tank we'll look at. So the TVP, you know, it's an auto loader. It's got 4 shells. Normally auto loaders have lower DPM anyway, because you have the 4 shells that you can shoot out very, very quickly, and then you have a long reload. So something like the TVP has 2,667 DPM. Of course, that is with me running calibrated shells, but if you look at other tanks with the same level, I mean, let's head over to the Leopard 1, for example. Now, you look at the Leopard 1, and yes, again, we are running with calibrated shells, but the DPM on the Leopard 1 is 3,670. So, massively more. But to be fair, you know, the Leopard 1 hasn't got much more than DPM. Yes, it's got a great gun, I get that, great speed, but where you got tanks like the TVP, like, it's fantastic. And yes, you can struggle. Yes, you can struggle in games because of the long reload. But if it didn't have that long reload, then the DPM was even higher, then of course the tank would be just a little bit overpowered. So we're just going to fast forward this game, and you know, it just pretty much shows how DPM is not important for a tank like this. And again, it's not just the TVP we're talking about. There are other tanks as well, which we're going to talk about another tank very shortly, straight after this. But you know, there's some tanks with low DPM, but they have brilliant armor. You know, and so you don't do as much damage per minute, but you're able to bounce shots because, you know, your armor. And of course, it's not just DPM, isn't just a single stat. You know, there's loads of different stats that you can look at. You can look at armor, you can look at speed, you can look at accuracy, you can look at you know, aim time. There's other things to go with the tank other than just DPM. So in a way, yes, DPM is important because of course the game is all about damage and you want to be doing as much damage as you possibly can. So if you look at it in that sense, then yes, DPM it can be important. But you've also got to remember, you can have a tank that has 3,000 DPM, and yes, it can do that damage very, very quickly, but you've also got to remember the games are 7 minutes. You know, you don't always have to do 3,000 damage straight away in the first minute. You know, if you finish, even though a tank has 3,600 DPM in a Leopard 1, if you finish a battle in a Leopard 1 with 3,600, then, you know, you've done a really good job. You've done a really good job. Where in hindsight, you should be doing that every minute or so, because, you know, that's what you could do a minute. But, you know, in hindsight, that is not going to happen, because it takes you a minute or so traveling to where you need to be. There's times where, of course, you don't have the shot available. So, you know, even though it can do 3,600 damage per minute, you're not always going to even end with that damage. And then also you've got to remember, it goes by the average. So even though it might say the Leopard 1 can do 3,600, that's going by its average damage. So you could do less, you could do more. So it's not actually accurate. The DPM levels you see is not actually accurate, because, you know, it's a RNG. It's all based on RNG, so random number generators. So one shot you could do 400, one shot you could do 300. You know, it is what it is, and other shots you may hit around that average damage. So again, talking about the TVP, you know, yes, it hasn't got DPM, but it is still a fantastic tank, because it's not a tank that relies on the DPM. It's basically a tank that relies on its speed. It's a tank that relies on the 4 shells, you know. You have to be shooting. If you've got a tank like the TVP that has 4 shells, you need to be penning all 4 shells, because of course if you don't pen, then again your DPM will drop. Then that is when it becomes a not so great tank. So, you know, 4k damage there, 4k damage. So we still managed to do 4k damage with a tank that doesn't have the greatest of DPMs. Another tank, of course, is the Progetto. Now, the Progetto is a little bit different than the TVP, solely because it has the mechanic where it is an auto reloader. So you use it as an auto loader where you shoot 3 shells, you reload 3 shells, then your DPM will be actually lower than it should be. Now, if you use it as a single shotgun where you shoot 1 shell, reload, shoot 1 shell, then of course your DPM is actually going to be higher. But again, it's not a tank that really relies on the DPM levels. It's a tank that relies on the 3 shells. It's a tank that relies on the auto reloader. Now, I love, and I always say in every single video, I love the auto reloading system. I think it is fantastic. It just gives you different ways you can play. It just gives you different ways. Like there, we've decided to shoot all 3 shells, and then we've decided to back up because we've got no shots, and then we're going to reload. But there is times where I have got a target and I might want to shoot, and I might only have 1 shell loaded, and you know what, I'm going to use that shell, because that shot might not be available the next time I've reloaded a shell. So, you know, overall, let's talk about, I mean, people look at DPM on tanks, and yes, to some tanks it's important, medium tanks more, but again, we've just shown you 2 medium tanks that doesn't have fantastic DPMs, but yet they are freaking brilliant tanks. I mean, the Progetto, this Progetto here, it is an incredible tank. I absolutely love the Progetto. I love the TVP. Now, the TVP is a bit more of a difficult tank to play. Doesn't have any armor. Again, with the reload that you've got, you can struggle to play the TVP. It is a difficult tank to play. But the Progetto, on the other hand, is a fantastic tank. You can play it in different ways, an auto loader, single shotgun, auto reloader, however you freaking want to play it. You can play it literally however you want to play it. But so at the end, you know, DPM, no, it's not important. It's not the only thing that's important. There are other stats to look at as well. So if you're looking at a tank with low DPM but it has brilliant armor, then of course, no, DPM is not important. Whereas if you look at a tank like the Leopard 1, for example, yes, it's got a good gun, but it really relies on that DPM. So yes, for the Leopard 1, it is important. And again, you can look at tanks like tank destroyers, like the XM. You know, I don't think, yes, it has brilliant DPM, but I really don't think the DPM is important on the XM. Yes, it makes it sort of overpowered, but even if Wargaming was to reduce the DPM levels on the XM, I still think it would be a fantastic tank. It would be brilliant. I don't think it would be as OP, but you know, it will still be a very, very good tank. So let me know your thoughts. Like, do you look at DPM? Is DPM the first thing you look at when you are getting a new tank? Let me know in the comments below. But for now, that is it. You know, again, another 4K damage game. Let's just fast forward it. We don't really do too much damage. I think we get maybe one shot. Do we get both? I think we do get both shots here. So again, 4.6k damage, and again, that is with a tank with not much DPM. And we've seen it, you know, the mouse. How many times have I shown replays of the mouse of 8,000 damage, but yet it's a tank that doesn't have great DPM, but it doesn't rely on that DPM. So again, leave the comments below. Is the DPM numbers the first thing you look at when getting a new tank? Let me know in the comments below. But for now, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I'm meadsy69, and I will catch you all soon. Bye bye.